Let me ask you something. Was raising a child really cheaper in the 1970s, or was life just simpler? Because today, it feels like every small decision, school, food, even birthday parties, comes with a price tag that makes you stop and think twice. But go back just a few decades, and things looked very different. So what changed? Hey everyone, welcome back to Vintage American Life. Today, we're going to take a journey through time, back to the 1970s, and compare what it really cost to raise a child back then versus today. And this isn't just about numbers, it's about how families lived, how they raised their kids, what they worried about, and what they didn't. We'll look at everyday life in the 70s, break down the real costs, and then fast forward to today's modern reality, where parenting feels more expensive, more complex, and sometimes more overwhelming. By the end of this video, you might be wondering, what conveniences have we gained, but simplicity has been lost? Imagine a quiet suburban street in 1975. Kids are outside, riding bikes, playing tag, maybe even staying out until the streetlights come on. Inside the home, dinner is cooking. One parent, usually the father, is working full-time. The other, often the mother, is managing the home. This was the norm. Single-income households were not just common, they were expected. And somehow, it worked. Homes were smaller, but they were enough. Families didn't feel the need to upgrade every few years or chase the perfect lifestyle. There was less pressure, less comparison, and definitely fewer monthly bills. Dinner wasn't takeout or delivery apps, it was home-cooked meals, simple, affordable, and shared together at the table. Kids went to public schools, played in their neighborhoods, and entertainment, it didn't cost much. A ball, a backyard, and a few friends, that was enough. No tablets, no expensive subscriptions, no pressure to enroll in 10 different activities. Parenting wasn't easy, but it was straightforward. Now let's talk numbers, but keep it real, not robotic. In the 1970s, the average home cost around $20,000 to $30,000. Yes, you heard that right. And the average annual household income, around $10,000 to $12,000. So while homes weren't cheap, they were still within reach for a single income. Food was affordable. A typical family could spend maybe $30 to $50 a week on groceries. Meals were simple, less processed, and often made from scratch. Healthcare? It existed, of course, but it wasn't the financial burden it often is today. Insurance costs were lower, and medical bills didn't feel like life-changing debt. Education? Public schools were the standard, free, accessible, and widely trusted. Private schooling was an option, but not a necessity. And childcare? Well, most families didn't need it, because one parent was usually home. So when you put it all together, raising a child in the 1970s was not just cheaper, it was less complicated. Now let's fast forward to today. The world has changed, and so has parenting. Today, most households rely on two incomes, not always by choice, but by necessity. Housing costs have skyrocketed, education feels more competitive, healthcare more expensive, and childcare, for many families, it's one of the biggest monthly expenses. And then there's the digital world. Kids today grow up with smartphones, tablets, internet access, things that didn't even exist in the 70s, which means new costs, new concerns, and new pressures. Parents today aren't just raising children, they're managing schedules, screens, safety, education, and finances all at once, and sometimes it feels like it never stops. Let's break it down. Housing first. In many parts of the U.S., the average home now costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Rent alone can take up 30%, 40%, even 50% of a family's income. Food, grocery bills have increased significantly, and while we have more choices, healthier options often come at a higher price. Healthcare? This is where things really changed. Insurance premiums, medical bills, prescriptions, it all adds up quickly. One unexpected medical issue can impact a family's finances for years. Education? Public schools are still there, but many parents feel pressure to invest more. Private schools, tutoring, extracurriculars, all seen as necessary for a child's future. And then comes college. Student loans have become a major burden for families and young adults alike.
in childcare. This one hits hard. In many cases, childcare costs are almost as much as rent, which means even with two incomes, families still feel financially stretched. So what happened? Why did raising a child become so expensive? First, inflation. Over time, prices naturally increase, but incomes haven't always kept up in the same way. Second, lifestyle expectations. In the 1970s, families lived with less, and they were okay with it. Today, there's more pressure to provide the best for children. Better schools, better experiences, better everything. Third, economic shifts. The cost of housing, healthcare, and education has risen faster than most other things. These are not optional expenses, they're essential. And finally, technology and consumer culture. We live in a world where it's easy to spend, easy to compare, easy to feel like what you have isn't enough. And that changes how we raise our children. So, was life easier in the 1970s? In some ways, yes. Families had fewer expenses, less pressure, more time together. But it wasn't perfect. Opportunities were different. Roles were more limited, and not every family had the same experience. Today, we have more options, more access, more convenience, but it comes at a cost, financially and sometimes emotionally. Maybe the real question isn't which time was better, but what we can learn from both, the simplicity of the past and the possibilities of the present. Raising a child has never been easy, not in the 1970s, not today, but the way we experience it has changed. Back then, families relied on simplicity, community, and a slower pace of life. Today, we navigate a fast-moving world filled with choices, challenges, and constant pressure. Maybe the goal isn't to go back in time, but to take a little bit of that simplicity and bring it into today's world. Because at the end of the day, raising a child isn't just about how much it costs, it's about the moments you create, the time you spend, and the life you build together. So tell me, do you think raising kids was truly easier in the 1970s or just different? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to like and subscribe to Vintage American Life. I'll see you in the next one.